Hello and welcome to another edition of Community Tapestry. My name is Napoleon Bell and I'm the Executive Director with the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission. I'd like to welcome you. And beside me, as always, my co-host. I'd like to welcome Toni Teague.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Great to have you back. And, you know, we've got some great guests ahead of us for us to introduce. But, you know, before we get to that, you know, spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung. It's May, and Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday.
Right around the corner.
Yep.
You know, and you know, with me, spring means getting out in the yard, working a little bit, getting my hands dirty, you know, cutting grass.
And for me, spring means watching the grass cutters do all their work, because I'm not going to do it.
Go figure that.
I am going to plant a vegetable garden again, though, so
that'll
be good.
That's good. Well, yeah, I do not have a green thumb for that. But, you know, I do a lot of shopping because with the spring and with my grass cutting, I'm always, you know, out at the different hardware stores trying to get a lot of, you know, things done. And,
Home Depot is where it's at.
Home Depot and Lowe's and all those, and we don't want to leave out anybody, but all those stores that we do go and get our tools and what have you. But I understand you were at a Home Depot recently, and we know that every project requires a set of tools, from staining to deck gardening to the gardening to cutting the grass, and we sent you out to Home Depot on the west side of the city to see how there's a special team of employees that did a little bit of retooling themselves to give the gift of life to one of their special coworkers. And so we'd like to see that clip right now. If we could go to that, Toni at Home Depot.
Most people, Home Depot is a place where people come to improve and beautify their homes, a place where you look to get that A+ look. Well, here at the Home Depot on West Broad Street in Columbus, Ohio, the letter A+ has made an incredible difference in a very different way.
To look at Jean Norris is to see a person many would immediately call friend. She was able to endure a 3-year battle with kidney disease thanks to special dedication and support from 2 of her co-workers. One made it her mission to find a donor, the other became her donor. This helped Jean battle a health challenge that caused her time off work and such a lack of energy it was difficult for her to care for herself, let alone her 2 teenage children.
If I wasn't off work a day, I would work a full day here, leave, and then go over there in the afternoon, evenings, do that. And then by the time I was done, I was just ready to crash, just sleep. Most people knew what was going on. If I didn't feel good or I had to have a day off or I was sick or something came up, it was never a question whether I was going to get in trouble for having the day off or needed the time. I mean, that was given to me no matter what. Everybody supported me, and I think it made it easier for me, even though it was still draining physically to come to work. But it actually helped me keep going. Had I not worked, sorry.
It's okay.
Had I not worked, I would just sit at home. I can't. Sorry. It's okay. But I would be at home, sad and depressed the whole time, thinking about it, dwelling on it. It gave me something to do and not have to think about what I was going through. It gave me an outlet in some ways. The things that I do not regret because it was something I have to do to survive. The things that upset me the most probably were my kids. Me not being able to be there because I was asleep or at dialysis or at work. But it was a matter of survival.
And you made it.
Right? And they see that and they know that.
You become a donor for Jean. Are you guys related?
Nope.
Do you live in the same neighborhood?
Nope.
Did you grow up together?
No. Nope.
Are you best friends?
Well, we're friends, but
we're kidney sisters now.
Right.
We're kidney sisters now.
So how'd you become a donor?
Just like I said, when I found out my blood type and I seen what Jean was going through, and I just, put myself in Jean's shoes. I wouldn't want to be going, if I was going through what she was going through, I would want, like I said, I would want the same done back to me, somebody to help me. So, because what we're supposed to do is help others.
So your mom raised you right.
Yes, she did.
What was it like when you told your mom that you were going to be a kidney donor for Jean?
It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. You know, because like, sometimes my mom's hard to talk to. I mean, she's not really, but I mean, for me...
Moms love their children, and she brought you in the world with all your parts, and she probably wanted you to keep them.
Right. But she was really good about it. She really, you know, accepted it. Like I said, when I told her, she just had tears, you know, of joy that I would want to, you know, help save somebody's life.
So tell me, how did it come together that you had the conversation, that you heard from Hazel that she's going to be your donor? Tell me about that day. What went on?
We had a store meeting for this, you know, for Home Depot store, and after the meeting, she kind of pulled me aside and said, you know, I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay. So she told me that, you know, she'd been thinking about it, praying about it, and that she felt it was the right thing to do, that she wanted to try to, you know, test to see if she was a match to give me a kidney. And I said, okay. I was taken by it at first, because I wasn't expecting it. Most people don't have somebody come forward. Usually a lot of people have to wait, and they have to search. And I never asked. A lot of people have to ask family members or people they know or go on a waiting list, and I didn't. And I was like, wow, okay, you know. And like I said before, it was kind of threw me off because I never thought that somebody would care enough, or even that God would be there enough to say, hey, you know what, let's do this for you, that I was worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you are.
Yes.
You absolutely are.
I realize that now.
How did you hear about Jean needing dialysis and having kidney failure?
Well, Jean works up at the service desk, and I was working returns, and I am the kind of person that if I've got a question, I'm going to ask. And she was gone a lot. You know, she wasn't feeling good, and I found out, you know, what her problem was, and she told me all the times that she was going, you know, on dialysis. And right before our surgery, my uncle had to go on dialysis, and I went and witnessed it. And knowing, you know, 3 times a week, 4 hours a time, what he was going through, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand knowing that Jean was going through this and how long she had been going through it. And I just thought, you know, we've got to do something.
Jean was going through dialysis for about how long?
I believe it was like 2 years before, you know, when I had found out.
Mm-hmm. And what did you notice physically about Jean over that period of time?
She was tired a lot. She was, you know, not really in a happy mood, you know.
Is that where she got the name Mean Jean?
Mean Jean was her name. Yes. We all call her Mean Jean.
But you loved her.
We loved her. Yes.
Okay, so then how did the process happen that you stepped in and decided, I'm going to find a donor for Jean?
I made it my mission. I said, you know, I did it. I helped my uncle, and knowing, you know, we were both the same blood type, and I'm like, that really killed me, because I could have helped her, you know, I could have done it, but, you know, I'd already given a kidney, so I made it my mission. I'm not going to stop until I find someone for Jean, you know.
Wow.
So I asked everybody in the store. We had like 120, you know, people here working, and I would ask everybody, "What's your blood type? You know, what's your blood type?" You know.
Did people think you were crazy?
I think they did. They did. But if it wasn't A positive, I'm like, okay, you know, be on your way.
So did most people that you talked to know their blood type though?
A lot of people did, and
really?
some didn't.
Were you surprised that people knew their blood type, or were you more surprised that people didn't know?
I was more surprised that they didn't know. I thought everyone should know their blood type, you know, just in case of an emergency or anything. So
that'll be your next mission. When you come to work every day and you have a chance to see Hazel and Jean and the rest of the team, I mean, do you really do you get a sense for the magnitude of what happened here?
Yeah, it's great. It's when the three of us get together, you know, we call ourselves the Kidney Sisters. It's amazing.
Well, if you're referring to the Kidney Sisters in particular, you know, they're a riot, and it's always never a dull moment when you're dealing with any one of the three.
So you've got a donor program here that I think that you've got a little help from one of the Kidney Sisters here. Can you tell us about it? And I think you've got a button.
Yes. Well, this is Homer Fun, our Homer Fun here at the Home Depot, which this happens to be Jean's captain button. Was started back in 1999, and one of our founders started it because we grew as a company, and we always had issues with different employees and national disasters and things that happen that are unexpected to our associates. And being that company that we are, and believing in taking care of our people, which is part of our value, by the way, he donated $10 million of his own money and started this fund that was exclusively dedicated to helping associates in need around the country.
Got it. So Jean and Hazel may have been partial recipients of
Yes,
that fund.
yes, they were. You know, they received assistance from the fund during the course of the whole operation, just like, you know, thousands and thousands of associates around the country.
Yeah, because the one thing we didn't talk about in our conversations with Jean and Hazel and Jamie was that not only do you have to deal with the surgery part, but there's also time off work and other medical expenses that continue long after that.
Yes, and not just the medical expense, but they also have personal expense. You know, still have to pay light, you still have to pay electricity, you have to feed yourself, and all of these things play a role, and that's where the Homer Fund comes in and helps and assists our associates in need in these times of crisis financially.
Organ donors give life.
That is an incredible story.
Yeah, they're incredible people, and I'm so glad that we have them here today.
Most definitely, you know, and we'd also like to thank Mike Tavares of Taftel Media because helped us and we collaborated together to make that happen there at Home Depot.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
So, and our guests, you know, without further ado, you know, I would like to have the audience meet Miss Jean Norris, who was the recipient of the kidney, and AKA Mean Jean. Is that correct? And next to her,
But she's fabulous and wonderful.
fabulous and wonderful. And next to her, her son, Devin Norris. Devin, I'd like to welcome you to the program. And then also Hazel Ward, who you saw also in the video, who's the donor. So I'd like to welcome all of you to the program.
So let's begin at the beginning, everybody. Let's talk about, let's talk to Eugene about what your what your circumstances were, how you realized that you were ill, and how you managed from the very beginning.
I went to the doctor for some regular checkups, and nothing for a while really came up that it was off. But I started feeling like something just wasn't right. I was tired. I couldn't explain why I was tired. I was irritable, aka Jean. But I just felt something wasn't right. So I went back to the doctor and I was like, look, I need another checkup, follow up with something. Can you check something else? And in doing that, they realized my kidney function had gone really down.
Did they test your creatinine level, or what happened?
Yeah,
That was part of the testing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a part of every kidney test when they want to check out your level of function.
Okay.
When we did the testing and stuff, at that point, the doctor told me I was at 12% kidney function that I had working. And he said, I don't even understand how you're, functioning every day, without being just, in bed all the time. And I said, well, I want to be in bed all the time. That's why I knew something was wrong. So I went to a kidney specialist, and we started going through the process, and we had to discuss different options. It was about a year or so before I started dialysis, because I kind of went through the different options, and now I wish maybe I pursued organ transplant first rather than doing dialysis. But for me, it was I was kind of scared by the process, and I think I didn't have as much information as I needed, and I was kind of hearing stories from other people maybe of times that it didn't work for them.
So it was an option early on?
Yeah,
I could have.
But the only thing is that, how long would it be? Would I have to go on a list? At some point, if I went on a list for a long time, then I would have to do dialysis. So I chose to do dialysis first.
And let me ask you, with that process, with making the decision on going on the dialysis, so you're saying that if you would have chose to go on a list, that you could not have gone on dialysis at that time, or?
No, I would have had to at some point. Like,
Okay.
if I didn't get a kidney fast
Right.
enough, my function would have just kept deteriorating.
Okay.
So I would
Okay.
have had to do it anyway at some point had I not gotten an organ donor
So
faster.
let's go to Devin. Devin, how did your mom break the news to you that her kidneys weren't functioning, and what grade were you in at the time?
I was a freshman, so I was 15 years old. It was actually on my birthday when she let us know.
Wow.
My sister and I kind of sat us down and let us know what was going on in the process.
What was going on in your head at that moment when she tells you
A
this?
lot was going through my head, just how I was going to hold it by myself and be strong for her at the same time. And it was just us three, so how I was going to be a man by myself and be strong in the process. Yeah.
Did you feel as though, were you always positive, with saying, okay, this is just one little blip, but we're going to make it through this?
Definitely.
I'm sure your mom was probably down a little bit, and and how'd you work with that? Well, let me ask you, you say you have a sister? Mm-hmm. So how old's your sister?
It's 22.
Okay.
Amy.
23, I'm sorry.
23.
Yeah.
She's going to get on
Get
you.
it right. Get it right. Well, you had sports as well. You weren't just you weren't just a person in high school. You also have a very busy life. You were on the basketball team.
Football and basketball.
And quite good at those things, I might add. So did that help you? How did your school community help you? Did you share the information with anybody?
I shared it with my coaches and peers and friends. It definitely helped. Sports was kind of like a medication to what was going on. So.
Way to go.
You say they helped. Did your school do anything that coming together, or was it pretty much your coaches pulling you aside, or giving you a shoulder to lean on?
I wouldn't say they did a lot for me, but more of a just a shoulder to lean on, and they said they were there for me. So.
How do you think that your mom's illness? Because how long did it last? How long did her illness until she got the surgery and recovered? What was that timeline like? You can answer, Jean.
I was on dialysis 3.5 years.
And you were going through treatment a year before that, so this is a 4.5 year period?
No, 3.5 years I was on dialysis, and I actually had my kidney transplant when he was a senior in high school.
Okay.
So, the beginning of his senior year.
Wow. So when that
his whole high school year, pretty much,
your whole.
I was on dialysis.
How do you think that? It's hard to look because you may not have had enough time out of high school. Right. You're a freshman in college now, right? Mm-hmm. You're at Columbus State. So how do you think that your mother's illness and your family situation, how do you think that impacted your schooling and your life and your mentality?
It impacted it by, it's a good question.
Thank you.
It impacted it because I had to mature early, so no parent around, had to do homework by myself, studying by myself, all those things that a parent would do. Obviously, she couldn't do it because she was in the hospital a lot. So mentally and all, I think I matured, definitely.
Did you resent the situation at all? Did you have more, what were some of the feelings? Did you have a feeling of resentment because, this is high school?
Right. Yeah, I did a little bit.
Were you afraid?
hmm
Can you tell us about both of those feelings for you?
I was afraid because I was scared to make mistakes, and it's kind of hard being a 15-year-old, and you got to make your own food and all that. So I was scared, definitely scared.
Wow.
I really can't imagine because, you know, my mom had a little knee surgery, and I was about that age, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, she's going under a knife, you know, she's going to come back, you know, this, that, and the other. And to look back on this, it's just a knee surgery, you know, in comparison to something like this, you know, a major surgery. So I can kind of relate, but I mean, I went totally off the edge. It was like, oh, you know, Mom, are you coming back, you know, so.
So can I go to a question that might be somewhat hard, and, you know, Hazel, you might want to chime in as well, because, you know, this was a very real situation, and you had no idea that, you know, an angel was going to appear for you and say, here's a kidney. You had, for a long period of time, still had some unknown. Did you have to do some end-of-life preparation? How did you tell your kids, and did you put an action plan in place that says in the event?
I didn't do probably as much concrete planning as a lot of people would probably think. I did think about, okay, if something happened to me, what would happen to them? Who would take care of them? Would they go live with family members? That kind of thing. A lot of things I tried to be really strong about in front of them. I tried not to break down too much. So when I talked to them about it, I was just very to the point and didn't drag it out. You know, I didn't want them to elaborate on it too much, even though I know that they were going to think about it. So, you know, I did tell them, you know, if something happens to me, these are the people you need to contact, you know, and basically family members. But I did let them know that, you know, the dialysis was how I was staying alive, pretty much, and that at some point an organ transplant would have to happen. And if it didn't work out, you know, it's reality. But I tried not to get too in-depth about it with them. I told them the facts, but I figured the more unnecessary worrying or stressing about it or seeing me break down maybe every day would be worse on them. Right. They needed to know that, okay, you know what, there's a possibility, everything's going to be fine. And, you know.
You're focused on the positive. I mean, that's a strong mom for you. That is a strong mom for you.
And I tell you what, we probably got some strong moms in the audience.
Yes, we do. We do.
Moms and dads and young people. So we want to give them the option to give us a call, and so they can call at 645-6557. That's 645-6557. Make sure that you give us a call. And also, we've got our iPad going here, so if you want to get on Facebook at Nap Bell, that's Facebook at Nap Bell. I know, just went off. We'll get that going. Go ahead and ask your question there also. We'd be glad to get those questions answered from our panel here on this very important topic.
So let's go now to Hazel, because Hazel, you are the angel that came out of nowhere. You know, how did you even? What made you decide that yes, you know, yes, I want to become an organ donor and I want to give a kidney to Mean Gene?
Well, I had to find out what my blood type was first, and then as soon as I found out, I did a lot of praying about it and stuff, and I just felt that God laid it on my heart to do it.
Did you feel it was one of those seeds that got planted and bloomed over a short period of time, or was it that as soon as Jamie came and said, "What's your blood type?" Was that the moment? When was the moment?
Well, as soon as I found out my blood type, that was the moment. I wanted to help Gene.
And how did you find out your blood type?
We had a blood drive that week at work, and
that you guys planned because Gene was...
No, actually, the company just was having a blood drive, and
the American Red Cross came in and
they came to our company. And when Jamie came to me and asked me what my blood type was, I was like, well, I didn't know at the time. And as soon as I found out, I was excited, you know, to help Jean out. So I wanted, you know, to help her out. And I just, I don't know, I just felt that if I was in Jean's situation, you know, I would want somebody to help me. And so I, you know, I wanted to do that for Jean.
Now, you know, I didn't get to watch the whole video, but it seemed like you're a woman on a mission, because as I heard, I think in the video that you were asking everybody
That was
in line.
Jamie.
No,
That was Jamie.
Jamie. Okay. so then you were there, and then you heard about the call out, and you says, you know, I want to do this. Why, you know, not anybody would just do this.
No.
Not anybody would just say, you know, maybe give a kidney to a family member, you know, if they needed it. But this is just something that you know, is not part, you know, not a family member, somebody that you really don't know, but you want to give this gift of life.
Yep.
Did you know that? I mean, did you know more about, what did you know about Jean, and other than she needed a kidney transplant and you work with her? What else did you know about her?
Well, that she's a good person.
Oh, not so much Mean Jean.
Yeah,
Everybody looked at her as Mean Jean, but I didn't.
everybody seemed to really like her.
Yeah, they
you know,
do.
They just knew she was going through a hard time.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you said that you talked to your family and that you also had some conversations with God. Not that I really want to get too personal.
Right.
But what were some of the questions that you had to reconcile you know, as you went forward with making the decision to say, yes, I will become a donor?
Well, I did a lot of, like I would work in the garden as a cashier. So I was in there a lot by myself. So I had a lot of thinking to do. And, you know, I kind of, you know, meditated a lot and prayed a lot. And but I just felt that God laid it on my heart to do it. And He gave me the love, you know, to love others and to do unto others as we would have them to you know, to do unto us. And I just felt that it was the right thing to do.
What would, you know, you had this discussion and trying to work it through in your mind, but then also, what about the family? You know, I'm sure, you know, your family would, you know, ask them, you know, this is what I want to do. What was their reaction to this?
Well, they did. It took me a while to talk to my family, you know, because at first I didn't really want to. I didn't come out right away and tell them because I wanted to go, because there was a lot of testing to go through and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that we were going to be a match before, you know, I told my family. And then I was down to about the first or second test, last test. And I thought, well, I better tell him, you know, in case somebody else told him I wanted to be the one to tell him. So
Yeah, don't let it come by surprise.
right. So I told, you know, my ex-husband and my children first, and they were okay with it. My kids were concerned, you know, about, well, Mom, what if you don't make it through, you know, but they said if that's what I wanted to do, you know, they were supportive. And then my mom, I told my mom, and she was supportive. And I didn't know how to tell her, but
You managed.
I managed.
That's great.
That is great. Well, I've got so many more questions, and both of us have so many more questions to follow up with you. But we've got to take a break. You know, this is a lot of take in, and so we're going to go to a break here with our viewing audience. But also, when we come back, make sure you can give us a call at 645-6557. All right. So we'll see you right after these words.